Okay, we're running a little bit behind schedule, or what, does that affect the 15-minute grace period or whatever? Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the, what day are we on here anyway? February 10th meeting of the Marina Advisory Commission. And we have a quorum present. And so we'll move on into our agenda. Has everyone had a chance to read through the minutes of the last meeting? And Chris, did you have anything in particular that you wanted to highlight, or?
No, Tim does a wonderful job with the minutes, so that's a lot of work.
Yes, she does. Okay, then moving right along, the public comment period.
I move that
Oh.
we approve the minutes as submitted.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay. They are approved, and we'll move on to the public comment. Do we have any online or other public comment? Okay. Hearing none, we'll check that off the box and move along to approval of the minutes. Oh, the minutes, we did that. Sorry.
Hydros.
Yeah. Okay. Discussion and presentation of the Hydros for Heroes spectator rate. Chris, do you want to start that off?
Sure, so the hydro planes are going to be August 16th and 17th. Thank you, Tim. The hydroplanes are going to be August 16th and 17th this year. As part of the master fee schedule, it states that the spectator event moorage rates to be established by Harbor Master and Marina Advisory Commission each year. Normal guest moorage rates for those days in excess of the event. So what that means is that each year this commission, along with myself or the Harbor Master, are to set the rates for that event. And we've done this traditionally in the past. This year, staff is recommending $225 per foot per night, plus the standard electrical charge of $635 per night. That's the regular rate this summer. With the 3-night minimum, because what we're finding is that the people typically show up on Friday, so that's night 1, stay for Saturday's races, that's night 2, and then leave after Sunday's races, which makes it extremely difficult for us to, do a total switch and get new boats in there and stuff, so we actually lose a night's guest moorage. We received a number of requests for reservations for that event, as we always do. Bellingham Yacht Club is bringing about 15 boats, I believe. So we're pretty full, if not already full. And we've explained to them that it is going to be a 3-night minimum, and we put them on our wait list for now because we also explained to them that we still need to set the rates. And so that's what this meeting is for, or this agenda item is for. Assuming that we set the rates today, Stephanie will then reach out to them within the next few days and start assigning them slips and collecting payment and stuff like that. So this is the last step.
Because that's a unique situation, does that have to go to the city council?
No, because the master fee schedule says in there specifically that this body will set those rates. So.
Okay. Anybody from the commission, anybody have any input or comments or suggestions?
Chris, what's the standard rate, the standard transient rate during the summer?
Ooh, I want to say that it's going to be $175 a foot.
It's $1.60.
$1.60. Thank you.
It's pretty
So
cheap.
it's pretty cheap, and so is the $225 per foot for that event.
Yeah.
It might be worth, I don't know, do you think, I think that's,
I think it's real cheap.
Yeah, I
I
do
just
too.
paid, I think $2 up in Friday Harbor at a winter rate.
Yeah.
So,
it might be worth it to add a little more to that. because it's not out of line with the special event rate, and we clearly don't want to discourage anybody from coming. But $3 a night, $3 per foot per night sounds about right to me. I'm not sure how everybody else feels
Chris,
about that.
what did we charge last year?
Last year, we were at $2 per foot, and I think we have to also keep in mind that we're now requiring the 3 nights. Many people will leave after the event around 4, so Sunday afternoon, so they won't even utilize that third night. But, again, it's about us being able to backfill those slips in an extremely busy time for the marina. Essentially, we lose out on a night of guest moorage for all those slips.
Okay, so your recommendation again is what?
$225 per foot, but ultimately it's up to the MAC to set the price, and then we'll just run with it. But you're right, we do have to be careful. We don't, maybe we incrementally maybe we go a little bit higher this year, 230, 235, and then next year 250, and then 275, and then get to that 3. We just kind of fill it out as we go. It is a big draw, and we do get a lot of boats in for that.
So you mentioned the interest that we've already seen there. Are all those slips full, or are they near full?
They're near full now. I would anticipate that we'll sell out pretty soon.
Okay, I'm going to recommend that we make the rate $250. I'll move that.
Yeah, I could live with that. I think, Chris, you don't think that'll be, you don't think anybody will balk at $250 a night per foot?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a good starting point.
Is that a second?
I will second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we use the $250 per foot rate for the spectator rates for the hydro races. Any other comments?
I have a quick comment. Chris, relative to 4th of July, I know we get a lot of interest out there on the 4th of July. Are we using a different event rate for the 4th of July or not?
No, we've traditionally just used the regular event, the regular guest moorage rate for that.
Not
that
an
event.
event rate. Okay.
And
I'm okay with 250.
that's $160 a foot? Is that right?
Yeah,
The regular transient?
Transient is $160 a foot. Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that relative to the hydro race, that the spectator rates be increased to, what'd you say,
$250 a foot.
per foot
Yeah.
for the 3 days, and require a 3-day minimum. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions or thoughts? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, hearing none, motion passes.
And we'll leave the electricity the way it is.
Yeah, the electricity is just a standard rate. You could revise that motion or make another quick motion to say that just $635 a night for electricity, and I
So
think
I'll
that would
move
be
that
appropriate.
we adopt the Harbor Master's proposal of $635 a night for electricity.
Second.
And that changes how? What's the normal rate?
That is the normal.
That is the normal rate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we don't have to make a change?
No, and a lot of these boats don't plug in because of the time of the year, or they just do for a few minutes while they're
Yeah.
using them. It's
Yeah.
not a very heavy
Okay.
electrical usage.
Okay, non-event then? Okay. Then we don't have to take action on that particular item unless you'd like us to.
I think you should actually. Kim brought that up, and more thinking about it, she's right. You should make a motion for the
We already
electricity
did.
too.
Yep.
It's been seconded.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we use the standard rate for power for the hydro race. And did you add the 4th of July to that?
No, it
Oh,
was
okay.
just the hydro.
Just the hydro race. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay. Motion passes.
Ken, I've got, a couple of months ago, I believe it was Gabe that brought it up, that last year's hydro race, there was a lot of staff time used in setting up their course, and they didn't have much participation from the hydro organizers in setting buoys and that kind of stuff. And I think prior to, I think sometime fairly soon, we ought to get together with the hydro organizers and make sure that they've got it covered for the extra staff time, the extra setup time and that. And I also think we need to get well ahead of time. We need to get what they're going to require as far as us not being able to use the marina for that weekend. I think it was unacceptable that it was 4 days of being locked out last year.
Also, Ken, Chris, you and I spoke about this, about how much staff overtime was accrued during hydros. I know that your staff was working, incredible amounts of hours just to satisfy the hydros requirements. That has to be compensated
Yep.
somewhere. That really does.
I think that we can do is, and I think we talked about this not too long ago, was making that a future agenda item, was having Mr. Wiesner and Mr. McKenzie come and talk about this, lay it out. So I think that's a great idea and something that we should probably line up next month or the month after so that it's well in advance, well planned out. It's still not clear to us what the permitting status is. We just filed for them and it takes so long to get them, and that has a lot to do with the Coast Guard Auxiliary coming and monitoring the channel versus us and those sorts of things. So some of that is too early to know if they're going to do that, but we can have Plan B in place just in case.
Okay, can we invite them to the next regular meeting of this body? Or do you want to wait for?
Well, we don't
Another
typically
meeting.
get the Coast Guard permit until just a couple of weeks before the event, so the
Well, you
sooner we
know-
make
Yeah,
Plan
that-
B, the better, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it takes, I file for that typically in January, and the event's typically in August, so.
it would be helpful if we could get a clear, definitive statement from the owner of the race, owner of the brand or the event.
Would you like to make that an action item,
I
or
would-
an agenda
yeah.
item for
Yeah,
next month?
let's get them on the.
Okay.
on the
Yeah,
agenda.
because that's a critical part in the equation, if it's going to happen.
Right. I will just clarify that we just did update the master fee schedule, and we did not put any special rates in there for people that use staff time, including Oak Harbor Youth Sailing or any other event. We had that in there originally in City Council. We didn't feel like we were getting any traction on that one, so we pulled that out. But we still can have a discussion with Mr. McKenzie and Mr. Wisner about staff use and that sort of thing. And they are more than gracious with certain things they do for staff, so it's kind of good.
I think the marina staff has been more than generous with their time. I remember, it's not just the hydros, it's the people who rent the little kiosks out there and, have to bring out chairs and stuff. Last year, I saw the marina staff running the marina boat back and forth
Yep.
for hours, just moving equipment and coolers and liquor and all kinds of stuff out there. And that has to be compensated. Because I know it was overtime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this-
we'll certainly invite them and try and get them here next month.
Mhm. And, yeah, we need a go or no-go decision from them. Because
I've
it
heard there's
may
dates.
all be a moot point. Let's just put it that way.
Could be. I don't know. When they give me dates before, they've always worked out, so I don't know where they're at in the whole
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, and the dates are determined by the tides, right?
Dates, the hydroplanes are an interesting thing. The way the dates are determined is the events that have been running the longest concurrent years gets first choice. In our case, we're near the bottom of that list and we have to work around the tides, so sometimes we're able to, or they're able to say, well, we know you've ran this race on this weekend for the past 30 or 40 years, but those are the only tides we have. Can we swap it out? So there's a lot of moving parts in scheduling the event, from what I understand. I've never been to the meetings to schedule. I just usually get told when the dates are.
One quick thought on that, Brian, this might be for you or Chris. Is there somebody in the city that could put together some marketing materials? The whole town's going to be there. It seems like a great opportunity to reinforce the value of the marina. Maybe, I don't know what that looks like, but when they're all down there enjoying the waterfront, that seems like a good time to hand something out, give tours of kids, show them what the fish and the birds are. Like, I don't know.
It's a great idea. We need to market the marina in every opportunity we have, and that's one of the biggest water side events that we have.
Yeah. Is there somebody at city staff that we got a marketing person?
Yes, we do. So we have an information officer who also has an assistant. Maggie will work with us both with online marketing, and we can look at signage as well. One of the big things that came out at the anniversary celebration last summer was just general consensus from the public that they wanted to see more activations like that, and just,
Yeah.
And Hydros is one of the biggest events that we do that kind of highlight the marina. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Great time to market some of that.
Okay. Do we need help with that, or is that something you guys can, we should help?
Yeah, we'll put you guys to work. We have
Well,
the
I wasn't
we have the
volunteering. I was hoping-
subcommittees now, and yeah.
I was hoping Maggie could do that, but okay, awesome. We can work
Well,
on something.
If that's on the agenda for an action item in the future and we get a no or go, no go, anyway, some sort of indication from the promoter, the owner of the event, then we can take action after that.
Sure.
Is that, everybody happy with that? Okay. I think both of the Marina Advisory subcommittees have met.
Yes.
And in an unofficial status, made some notes and recommendations and so forth. It's not part of the public process, but that's the intent of this discussion, is to make it public. As I told Chris earlier, I neglected to print off the notes that we were given after the last, the long-term projects committee meeting, but essentially it was focused on the dredging, the permit process, those kinds of things. And the subcommittee for short-term projects is yours, right?
We did.
I think we have a little presentation that I threw together. I didn't have
Okay.
time to throw one together for the long-term one, but eventually this is the way it'll go. So if JJ can update us on this whole conversation, that'd be great, and the slides are behind.
Yeah,
You have to follow the slides, or?
I can follow the slides. Do you want it, Chris, you want me to do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
here's
Well,
the-
yeah, we did, we were able to meet. Grant was still in school, so it was tough for him to get there. But Gabe and I met with Chris and Elise, and we talked about all the projects you see up there, the new Marina logo, which I guess has been included in the packet, about the signs, the entrance signs. We talked about the sailboat and dinghy storage area, which Gabe is going to take on personally, I think. I did some research on dock carts, which we should be able to acquire fairly easily, and Elise and I have been talking about power pedestals, which come from a company, interestingly enough, called powerpedestal.com. So there's no confusion about what they do. So the new Marina logos, we have them right here. We have the old Marina logo and the new logos, and then there was the sign option, which is, we can get to in a second. But if you look at the old logo, it's remarkably similar to the new logo. It's one of these things that you used to see in the highlights for children, find the differences. But I guess there are some, and the logo looks good. I always liked it. But if we go to the next slide, the one that we looked at and we want some input on is the new sign options, either option A or option B. Apparently, acquired from the federal government has to appear on the sign.
Yes, that's correct.
It has to appear on the sign, which I think is very interesting. And a marine park for use by the general public, which is a statement that is near and dear to all our hearts, because the general public doesn't pay for it.
Yeah.
So but that has to appear on the sign too. So I guess we could go around. Grant, how do you feel about option A or B on the sign?
I like option B a little bit better. It definitely draws more attention to the logo and is generally like looks a little bit bigger and shows that like the marina is, and it has welcome to on there, which also like is saying that the marina is welcoming everybody to use it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think option B looks really nice, and I think it would make a better sign, quite frankly. I think the option A would make a really nondescript sign, and I think option B would be a lot more impressive. Not that signs are impressive. Josh, what do you think?
I would ask my wife what she thinks. My vote usually doesn't count on this stuff. Yeah. Do we need this is me being super cheap, but do we need a new logo and sign? Like, it seems like.
Our sign is in bad shape.
Is it? Okay.
It's been there for 12 years at least, so
Okay.
it's sunbeat.
I
And
probably.
the new sign will have the new logo. I just didn't have the sign makers redo it.
Okay. I agree. Probably Grant's points are awesome. B's probably good then. Yeah.
Do I have a motion for adoption?
Byron, what do you think?
I'd go with option B too. However, I would like to take an exception to a marine park for use by the general public. To me, what that says is the city is proclaiming this a public park, which it has been used as, but if that's the case, I think that we ought to get credit at least for part of our unallocated expenses. It only seems fair. There's no other, I don't believe there's any other park in the city park that pays into the unallocated fund. I think as a committee, we should require that if we're going to be used as a public park, which we have been for years, and I don't have any problem with that, it's just that I don't think we're being treated fairly in paying $300,000 a year for the other expenses. That's it.
That has to be on the sign, I believe. I can double check the agreement from 72, 73 when that property was given to the city.
Okay.
But I believe that has to be on there as well, as both of those sentences do. But I can double check that to make sure.
All right.
I think it's probably two different arguments. I agree, it would be nice to get credit, but we also need people to feel like it's their park so that they want to vote yes to pay more taxes for it, so, yeah.
Well, they don't pay any taxes for it.
Well, I don't know.
That's
We're gonna
the
be
issue.
asking them to.
Yeah, well,
probably.
the issue, and I agree with Byron, that for years and years and years, and we've said it that for 50 years, the citizens of Oak Harbor have had the use of the marina that we pay for. And without any input, without any direct contribution from the city. So I understand your position, Byron, and I would tend to agree. Does that exact wording have to be there?
I believe it does, yes.
Because I was thinking maybe a marine park for use by the citizens of Oak Harbor. I don't know. I don't know if that's any different, but
That's
yeah,
really restrictive.
yeah.
If you're from Coopville,
You can't use it. I don't know. Chris, I guess the question is if you say, I know that acquired from the federal government has to be on the sign, and if that marine park for use by the general public has to be there, then we're committed.
Yeah, we just need to, at this point, what we can do is make a selection and a recommendation, and then that's just a fine tuning piece. It's either got to be there or it doesn't, and I
Yeah.
believe it does.
Okay.
And I don't know that we can change that.
So then I would move that we choose option B for the marina sign options. Okay.
It's been moved and seconded that The displayed option B is recommended for the replacement signs that will go at the entrance to the marina or anywhere else.
Just at the entrance to the marina, right there by right where you take a right by the yacht
Okay.
club before the gate.
Just the updated logo. Right, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be one of the logos.
It
from
would
above.
have, it would not have the anchor, right? It would be the updated logo.
No, the sign maker became a grandparent, and so
Oh, okay.
I
got it.
wasn't able
Yeah,
to get
I
them to
got
update the sign,
it.
so,
Got it.
so, yeah, ideally it would have been, but, not this time.
Oh,
Okay, so it would be without the anchor,
Yeah, it'd be
Is that
one of
what
the
you're
new
saying?
It would
logos
be
from the
new
top.
logo in-
Without the
yeah,
anchor.
Without
Previous
the
slide.
anchor.
right? Okay, everyone clear on that and so forth? That's the motion that's been made and seconded, that we adopt this option B, which is the logo without the anchor, but with the wording that's selected and displayed.
Right.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay,
Okay.
motion passes.
Okay.
All right.
Dock cart options was the next one, and I did a little research and have been communicating with Elise on the dock carts themselves. It's interesting that they are as expensive as they are, but the dock cart you see in the center photograph there is from a company called dockcarts.com, interestingly enough. And that dock cart, the retail price on that dock cart is $310. And the nice part about that particular dock cart is all the parts, the wheels, the axles, the tires, the handles, all those parts are available from the same manufacturer. So they could be easily serviced over the period of, their length of service life. The only downside in that particular dock cart is it's 34 inches wide. So, and the space on A and B docks adjacent to the power pedestals is 28 inches. And Elise had the idea is we could remove the meters and just put the blanking plates there because there are no boats there. And we could get that 34-inch dock cart down those particular docks. Another way to do it is to choose one of the smaller options, which are about $100 more. So we would have a mix of carts. We would have A and B dock carts, and we would have C, D, and E, F, G dock carts. So I don't know what's the best way to do it. We could, maybe the best way to do it would be just to have a mix and have them clearly painted, or we just try with the 34-inch wide dock carts and take off some of the blanking, the electrical meters that get in the way.
Well, JJ, wouldn't we retain some of our old dock carts that would,
I would
that
hope
would
so,
fit
yeah.
the A and B docks?
I would hope so, that, Chris, some of those are still serviceable. And,
Yes, they are.
But, we have, we're rapidly approaching boating season. It's hard to tell when it's 30 degrees out there, but, people are gonna be starting looking for dock carts, and I don't know what the lead time is on these. So, as Gabe has said many times when he's been here, he says, buy 10 dock carts. And I still say we should just buy 10 dock carts. So, and I would be in favor of putting our eggs in one basket in the center dock cart at $300. And
What is-
who knows what the city's price would be? That would be my price, was $310. The city might be able to get on a federal schedule or a government schedule to buy, but we'd have to look into that.
Cost them more?
No, most of the time it doesn't,
No,
to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It should.
$600.
Yeah, it'll be $900 by the time we're done with them.
I was just going to ask a question. The width of the carts,
Yeah.
does that include the axle ends?
Yes, that's the overall width from axle to, wheel to wheel.
So how does that compare to the larger sized existing dock carts?
I think Chris, I'm sure you can answer this.
They're about the same. They're about 28, 29 inches, the bigger ones.
And the only thing you have to do is adjust your course
Yeah.
slightly to
Yeah,
avoid
yeah.
scraping the paint off of those power pedestals.
Yeah.
He said those are 28, no, these ones are.
The smaller.
I think that the middle one also has a 28-inch model as well.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but if that's the case, then that would be great.
The difference is that I noticed our current fiberglass dock carts are pretty heavy duty, you know, they're solid.
Yeah.
These are a little less solid, I would think, based on the picture, but the company we've used in the past, Cheyenne Manufacturing, has been non-responsive to us, so I believe that they've either scaled back or gone out of business.
Would we need to put some sort of weight limitations on the carrying weight I'm talking
Well,
about?
what
on
we've
those carts?
noticed is that the killer to dock carts are outboard engine. And so that committee came up with this idea to get one or two of these that we would fasten to the rail there, and people could check them out to move their outboards around.
So they'd have to go to the office and check out one of these?
We would make it
Carts.
so easy, they would want to come talk to us about it.
Yeah,
So
and these are much better than laying your outboard down on a dock cart somewhere.
you lay your outboard down on the wrong side, and that's bad news, as you
Yeah.
guys know.
Yeah.
On the regular dock carts, is there anywhere in the state where people pay to rent those? Like at the airport, you gotta pay $1 or put a security deposit?
Yeah, that's the airport.
I'm just wondering if that's a way to help.
I can't think of any
No.
marina that does that.
One of the things that no, I've never seen that, but one of the things that we can entertain is getting the aluminum folding ones and selling them to our tenants or anybody that wants to buy them at just a slight markup too, if they would want their own. Those are handy, and some people really like to have their own, that they know what's been in there, so. There's a
I think this is great.
There's
I'm just
nothing that would
curious.
preclude you from doing that,
No.
right?
I'm sorry?
There's nothing that would
No.
limit you from doing that
No, we
now,
can sell
right?
whatever we want at the
Okay.
marina.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable option also. So do we have a recommendation or a motion?
Well, I think the next motion would be to, we'd have to get a firm price, and let's just say we want 10 dock carts and 2 of these outboard carriers, maybe just one, I'm not sure. What do you think? I don't know. I think one. And do it that way, and get a price for 10 of these and 1 of these, and go from there.
JJ, I think maybe the marina only needs to buy 7. I know someone who has volunteered to donate
Really?
3 dock carts.
Huh.
Yeah.
With the name of boats on them.
With the name of boats on them?
Yeah.
Well, that might be something to do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then let's do that. Why don't we get a price for 7 and 1 outboard motor carrier? And once we know what the price is, we'll proceed from there.
The ones with the boat names on them, is that intended use for that boat and no others?
No.
Or-
No.
It's just something fun.
Oh, okay. Could say donated by.
Yeah.
Well, we could do that. I mean, I bet we could get a bunch more people to do that if we wanted to.
Okay.
Well, in the interim, let's proceed down this path so that the marina has some on hand, ready for the boating season, which is rapidly approaching.
So the next step would be to get prices and then bring it back to the commission next month.
I don't know, do we want to wait another month for this, or can we just get prices and then?
We can authorize you to exercise your judgment.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. All right, well, we'll get prices and talk to the short-term group about it.
Okay.
Would Flowers Marine get a better rate than the city through his wholesale account?
Maybe. We get a really good rate through Fisheries Supply.
Yeah, Fisheries has pretty heavy discounts,
We get the best rate they have to offer, actually, so
Perfect.
it works out good.
but it would be nice to compare them.
Is that where these?
No, I don't know where these 2 outboard ones that are in the photo came from, but I know where the one in the middle came from.
didn't come from Fisher.
No, it came directly from their website.
Yeah.
But
We'll have to
Fisheries
contact-
does have, as does Cabela's, as does LL Bean, they all can get you a dock
Overton's,
cart.
Defender, all of
Yeah,
those guys carry these.
Defender is a big, this, Defender is the fisheries of the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate thing. They are on the East Coast,
Yeah.
and shipping is a little more expensive. Because we could probably, if we got it from fisheries, we could probably get it delivered
Oh, yeah.
Free.
Sure, for sure. Yeah.
as part of their routine delivery service. Anyway, those are little nits that we need to work out, that we're empowering you to work those out and get the best deal you can get for those things. But I like the idea of people donating carts with or without their boat names on them. I also like the idea of people utilizing their own, if you, for a modest markup, if you can sell those things to people, that I frankly have considered buying one. They're kind of, the foldable ones, the aluminum ones, are a little intricate to unfold and then fold it back up in its resting condition and so forth. But, it's still worth, it's a lot better than not having a cart at all.
Yeah, and you know what was in it previously, and you can also fold it up and stow it on your boat if you're going to other marinas and doing
Sure.
shopping or provisioning or whatever.
Sure.
So there's pros and cons to that.
Do you need a resolution from us, or?
No,
what
I
do you
don't think
need?
so. I think we're fine.
Okay. And the other question is, do we have the money? And
Oh, that's
at the
fine.
moment, we do, yes.
At the moment, we do.
Okay. General Marina update. Chris, do you want to give us an update on anything
Sure.
we haven't touched on already?
Sure. So we talked about reservations. We're also already sold out for the music festival, which is exciting.
Oh,
That is becoming like, as soon as we open it up, it sells out that minute. So that's great news. 4th of July is always popular. We're receiving reservations for that. And then tons of reservations, onesie, twosie people. I think we got a couple groups coming in, nothing large. It seems like groups have kind of tailed off a little bit. What we're seeing is not necessarily yacht clubs traveling together, but we're seeing members of yacht clubs, like 3 or 4 people, 5 or 6 boats, all friends, same yacht club. Instead of making a yacht club event, they would just travel together. So that's a thing we started seeing a few years ago that's kind of fascinating. We are going through the docks and sending letters to people whose boats aren't looking really good and requesting sea trials and stuff like that. We sent 20 letters out and have received a pretty good response so far, so we'll see how that ends. It's just the first step in that. Staff is working on whalers and rub boards. I'm sure you've seen them around, and pile hoops. They're so amazing, those guys in Elise, and the things they can do. One of the big things that we're working on is reviewing applicants for our regular part-time position that was recently approved. So we're going to bring a part-time person on year-round. And we've gotten a few good applicants, and we're still looking what's out there, and going to see, hopefully soon we can get in some interviews and get the right person for that position. So
How many hours is that?
20 hours a week,
Okay.
give or take, just depending upon what's going on.
and that is in addition to the payroll, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
benefits?
Just 20 hours a week, no.
Okay.
No. I think you have to be around 30 hours for benefits at the city. I'm not sure. But it's just a regular, it's not a seasonal person, it's a marina maintenance level 1. So they'll do more than seasonals would, but they'll just be there part-time. This is in addition to the 3 seasonals we get as well, which will be starting fairly soon as well. So that'll be exciting. It'll be fun.
What, if any, feedback have you received on the required sea trials? Can you get a hold of those people that own those boats?
Yes, we send certified letters, so we get return receipts, so we know whether they got it, whether they still live there or they didn't. It's been okay. So I had a guy come in just today who said, I am so sorry, I'm embarrassed, I totally just neglected my boat, I'm gonna go take care of it now. We've had that type of response a couple of times to, the other end of the spectrum kind of result. But the bottom line is, in your contract, it refers to following the rules of the marina, and the rules of the marina say that your boat will be operational within 72 hours. So we're targeting those boats with excessive growth that look like they're not well maintained, and that's the first group of 20 that we sent letters to. Once we get this wound up a little bit in the next month or so, then we'll continue working through the marina. We're also going to be working in conjunction with the state derelict boat program for those people that are like, I know I have a boat, it was my dad's boat, I can't get rid of it, what do I do? Now it's derelict, they're so expensive. So there is a great state program that we can point them to for that as well. So I actually have tasked Elise and Stephanie with this, and I think they're just charging out of the gate with this, and I think in a few months we'll be able to see a difference.
Will the state pay them to bring their boat up to usable condition?
No, they won't do that, but what you can do is work with the state and get a better deal than if you were to call a recycler or a person who grinds them up yourself. So there's some price reductions there for some of those boats. And we've used that program for our derelict boats as well, where we've had boats hauled away, and then they either take the parts off from these recyclers and sell the parts individually. Ultimately, the bulk of the boat ends up in a grinder type situation.
It's probably not an option, but the Swinomish tribe has been doing something similar to that with their derelict boats
Yeah.
as part of their fishing fleet upgrade. But it might be worth a phone call to the Swinomish tribe to find out if there's capacity there for,
For a few more?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be good. I think that this will make a difference. We'll definitely look into that. Just as an example, I used this program twice towards the end of last year, and it was $8,500 to have these boats hauled away and disposed of. And we received every penny of that back from the state. So it's a reimbursement program. We paid the person, they gave us a receipt, we did a bunch of paperwork, and the state sent a check within just a few days of receiving the packet from us. So it's a great program.
Doesn't the individual boat owner bear some of that cost?
Well, I think the state goes after the boat owner if they can find them.
Oh,
But I think there's another side of that as
Yeah.
well, whereas,
they're just totally abandoned boats, too.
yeah, whereas if you're an owner and earnestly trying to get rid of it and can't, that they'll work with you at a better price than that. So it's kind of a neat program. Neat program. So,
Are you done with
I'm
your
done.
short-term project?
Yes. Guess we're already on Marina.
The long-term project group met kind of unofficially, drop-in sort of thing, and talked about the dredging project and, a number of other things that are above our ability to fund at the moment and so forth. But are there any updates or Mr. Smith, anything on the funding level that you can share with us? Or?
Nothing quite yet on the funding level, other than we're actively working on that. We will be having a discussion with the long-term planning committee on assistance around looking at the port district election, and we are trying to get a meeting scheduled to sit down with the Port of Coupeville and talk about possible expansion there. We're hoping to bring back the B&O tax item to council soon to get at least the one thing that we can control for funding, right, getting that ball rolling so that we can move forward with the dredging. We've been having discussions with Moffett Nickel on possible reconfiguration of what that dredging looks like and take some of the cost savings of perhaps doing a smaller footprint project to take care of the breakwater and some of the other dock infrastructure replacement requirements.
Anything else you'd like to offer, editorial comments or anything?
Yeah, so we did receive Chris's resignation. That may or may not be a surprise to this body. Chris has been the face of the Oak Harbor Marina for almost a couple decades now. And obviously that's a very bittersweet announcement. He and his wife have sold their home to go and be closer with their daughter in Arizona. Chris has decided to become a snowbird and play some golf. I hope his wife puts him to work quite a bit as punishment for leaving us, but we wish him all the best. It is, after a few days of me being sick to my stomach and waking up screaming in the middle of the night, I finally got over it and realized that I am very happy for Chris to move on next chapter of his life. We will be posting the position this week for a new harbor master. We've made some revisions to that job description, and so we hope to expedite and facilitate that transition as fast as we can. I anticipate I'll probably move my office over to the Marina office just to give him another set of hands during Chris's absence until we have that position replaced. But yeah, so I think there never is a good time to lose a great employee, and but there's a lot I think it's kind of appropriate in all the discussion of what's next, what's the next chapter for the Marina. Might as well just throw all the changes in at once, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Chris has been a very stable and calming effect. He continually wins people over with kindness, and I think we could all do with being a little more Chris-like in our lives. So I know that he's made a lasting impact on his staff and me. His staff were just about beside themselves when they found out. We've had to have a couple of meetings with them just to assure them it's okay. We'll keep the boat going on course, and we'll try and facilitate that transition as smoothly and as quickly as possible. But I hope you'll join me in wishing him all the best. And
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Chris has been a stabilizing influence and has brought to this position a wealth of information, and not only current but historical as well. He's worked with and through other harbor masters, and has always shown a great deal of skill in his hiring of staff and motivation of his staff. And he discovers what their strengths and weaknesses are, and uses their skills to supplement the skills of others and stuff in a way that's very, very enlightening and credible. It's just he does a great job, and I'm pretty sure that everybody on the dais here supports that theory and that opinion. But you're welcome to comment.
Yeah, Chris, I'd just like to say, other than the fact that your timing is absolutely horrendous, I'd like to thank you for all the good years you've put in, and you have been a calming influence in what often is a kind of a chaotic situation down here.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ditto from me, Chris. I mean, we've spoken on lots and lots of issues over the years, and we're going to miss you tremendously. And I'll just be thinking of you out there killing rattlesnakes in Arizona. I'll just be real happy.
With a golf club.
With a golf club, and hopefully you'll be back for the music fest every year.
I will.
Any other
I'd
comments?
like to thank Chris for welcoming me to the marina and helping me understand about the marina, and always be there for my questions or how about this, and I've learned a lot, and I'm going to miss him. When I heard about it, I cried. You know, but, you know, there's always a time for everything, and I wish you the best. I'm gonna miss you. I have his phone number, so that's
Yeah.
okay. I'll be calling often.
I think all of you have my phone number, and you're welcome to call me anytime, and it's been a pleasure to work with you guys for the last 15 years or so, and I was looking through the packets, and the first one I wrote was towards the end of 2010, so it was far different than what we're putting together now.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for your patience and help over the years.
I will just add on that comment, we do recognize the great wealth of knowledge and history, and Chris has been point on our capital projects, and so we don't want him to entirely get away and create too much of a void. So I have talked with Chris about the idea of retaining him as contractor services as needed, just to make sure we can facilitate a smooth transition until we get the next harbor master up and running on their feet.
Yeah, Chris has had and continues to have a unique connection with Moffett Nichols, who is, you know, the premier engineering firm in this region anyway. And they give a lot of good advice, and we've utilized them a great deal. And we appreciate their contribution, and that's orchestrated primarily by Chris, so.
Thank
You
you.
get the kudos and the blame if they do anything wrong.
Yeah, no, it's been an honor and privilege to work with you guys, so I appreciate it. And even the public who was there for many, many years before, he got a big seat in the group, so thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments from the?
No comments.
Yeah, I'd just like to say one more thing about the long-term planning committee meeting. We did discuss, I think, at the last city council meeting, JJ and Ken and I was there, and Ken made a plea during his comment period that we really have an urgency in getting some funding taken care of. And I guess I kind of worried about this, but the fact I just got the idea, I don't know if you did or not, JJ, but it just seemed as though the city council was just, most of the members were just totally focused on the Port District, and to the exclusion of any other, means of more rapid funding for this project. And I think it's incumbent upon us as a committee to make sure that the council is aware of the urgency of funding this project. Otherwise, I think it's very likely, well, we've done our job, we're working on the Port District, and this is going to do it. And that's sort of, I don't think that's, 100% the way the council feels, but you just kind of get that idea that they're willing to let the dredging wait until a Port District has decided one way or the other, and that can't happen.
I agree.
I think what we decided at the last meeting, I think, is that it would be a good idea if several members of this committee on a regular basis attended council meetings, and just in the public comment period, one of us or a couple of us get up and just remind the city how urgently we need a funding solution for this project.
I have been saying this for quite a while about the B&O tax. I have been saying we have to do this now.
Yeah.
And I have been squeaking loudly. And, I'm asking when. And so I have been trying. That's why we did the bus thing, why I've also reached out to somebody else for some information on stuff. I'll be working with Brian on this. We're trying, but it's like trying to get it to move, but.
I guess, though, the question comes in, and Brian, you might be able to answer this, is that There doesn't seem to be any, well, there's certainly no discretionary money in the city's budget in the out years to add anything of any significance to the marina. There doesn't appear to be any other way to get any sort of federal funding short of becoming a port district. And I mean, that's, most of the federal funding that's out there is identified for port districts. Is that not correct? Is that fairly correct?
Yes, as far as grant funding, and especially federal dollars, they tend, I'd say like 99% is port districts.
So I know exactly, I feel the exact same way that Byron, and I know Ken does, and members of this committee do, is that we're out of options, because there are no silver bullets. There's no money in the city's budget. There's the B&O money, if it's enacted, even if it's enacted next year, everybody's going to have their hand out for that. It cannot be identified for just the marina projects. And the Port District itself may take multiple times to get it passed, or at best case, it shows up on a ballot in November. It would still be years before we wound up getting in the pot for any of that funding. So we're between a rock and a hard place, and maybe we'll all follow Chris to Arizona. But it's one of those things that it's gone for so long, neglected, and maybe it's our fault as well, that we have no other options. And I don't want to sound like the voice of grim death, but I think I'm pretty accurate.
I'll say our discussions with council have been around some very specific options for funding. I don't know if that would go as far as saying that we're out of all other options. There are quite a few other suggestions. I don't know if they'll pan out, but there's a lot of different things we're looking at. We got a lot of feedback of different ideas around funding during some of the public meetings. And internally, as far as like city funds, anything is possible with enough political will. One thought that comes to mind is the city receives real estate excise tax dollars, REIT 1 and 2. Those are restricted for very specific uses, but one of those, especially with REIT 2, which is the more restrictive fund uses, is specifically it can be used for parks. And as we just pointed out today, the marina is a
Marine Park for use by the
marine
general
park
public.
for use by the general public, right? So, there's always options. I think right now it's strategically planning what options make the most sense for the best possible future of the marina and for the city. What's going to help us be fiscally sound into the future, especially if we look at any sort of debt service with bonding or other types of things. There was a point where I started to feel a little bit of that doom, but every time I think we start to get there, a door opens a little more. We get some good news. We get some legislatures that are in support of us. We have ports that are in support of us. I think there is enough of a community and public desire to see the marina continue that I think we can get there. It's just finding what's the best pathway forward.
Is there state money available?
Again, there's always state money available with the right the right people in support of it. It just takes having those conversations, and that usually needs to happen at a little bit of a higher level with the administration and council. But yeah, if we get state legislatures behind us saying, hey, this is something that's important to these communities. We receive funding for all kinds of different initiatives, and the marina is not exempt from that.
Do we have a champion? Is it someone like Ron Musal or Dave Paul or somebody like that who, can be our champion to help us with this?
I've heard comments from all of them that they feel the marina is important. None of them feel like, oh, well, if it closes, it closes, right?
Yeah.
And Barbara has done just such an amazing job going and hitting the streets and making phone calls and just following up relentlessly especially with both state and federal legislators. I know that the administration, this is one of their top priorities that they're working on. And they'll continue to have those discussions, especially as we start talking like things like port districts. We have more and more eyes on us, more and more discussions happening. And so it's really important, one, that we get a continual message out. We want to try and meet with council monthly if possible. We want to just keep squeaking the wheel a little bit, especially in front of the decision makers that control funding, both at a state, federal, local level. Like I said, anything's possible with enough political will.
Well, that's why I think the suggestion was made that we, as a committee, make our voices heard repeatedly to the council. Do you think that's a good idea, or is that going to be?
Yes.
Look-
If you want something done, just stay on the radar.
Yeah, well-
If the priority's high enough,
Yeah.
the public finds a way to make it happen.
And what about geo bonding? Has that been seriously discussed or not?
I think that our initial discussions were around the bond for the dredging, and I think that, last I heard, that was obtainable for the dredging project.
As a
The-
GO.
Geo bond, yeah, general obligation bond.
That I'm not sure about. I thought you just meant bond in general.
No.
Specifically, I don't know about that one.
And because, the taxpayers are going to have to be hit in some manner, either by funding this project or by tearing the marina out. It's going to go to the fund, to the
Yeah.
taxpayers
I-
eventually.
I think the city is looking at pursuing and seeing what comes out of a Port District election. A general obligation bond is always an option. And it's just one more thing in kind of this series and lineup of strategic financing options that we'll both look at and pursue as we see whether each one of these things will pan out or not.
I'm not opposed to the idea of a port district. It's just not enough,
Not-
not fast enough.
Not fast enough, exactly.
And, because we have an immediate problem. The breakwater is failing. The wave attenuation system goes with it. And we have problem with depths and all the other issues that we've talked about and prioritized in the past and so forth. But I'm a firm believer in clearly stating your expectations, and I think what I expect from the city council is an endorsement of the fact that the bonding for this project, for the dredging project at least, that's the first order of priority right now, and/or the breakwater re-engineering and bolstering and all that kind of stuff. Roughly, I would say we're talking $12, $14 million, something like that, for those two projects. And the council can kick this around. And I do appreciate Barbara's representation and support of marina events and so forth. But I think the rest of the council needs to be held accountable for, financing the whatever number it is, $12 or $14 million in a general obligation bond,
Absolutely.
and/or maybe in addition to 50%, funding 50% of the maintenance and operation budget every year for the marina. And those are big numbers. That's $1 million. The maintenance and operation, 50% of that is about $1 million a year. Isn't that right, Chris? We do it's about $2 million for a total.
Yeah.
So, $1 million. And the general obligation bonds, as was graphically represented by the finance director, and quite literally, would deplete all of our hard-earned resources that we've accumulated from tenants over the past number of years, And, you know, it's like putting lipstick on a pig when we're trying to make the marina new, and it's not. It's 50 years old, and it's designed to last for 35 years, maybe, tops, with the right level of maintenance and so forth. And without cash, we're screwed. I mean, we do not have options. Again, the Port District is a great idea for the future, because, as was pointed out, we don't know how long it's going to take to get it approved, and then it takes a considerable amount of time for funds to be accumulated
Yeah.
throughout that process, because it's an additional increment on property taxes, as I understand it. And when, in 1991, I think it was when we collectively, there was a committee that was involved in the base closure scare. And frankly, I wasn't all that scared, because I could see all the economic benefits of living without the Navy. You know, that's a sacrilegious thing I don't want to get into, but you know, the Navy owns and controls a lot of property around here, valuable property. Some of it we could use for supplementing the marina operations, either in dry storage or additional storage of small boats, paddle boards, you know, that kind of stuff. And we're bursting at the seams now. We don't have, when we have an event down there, like the hydros or something, parking is at a premium, and people are mad about it. And same thing even through crabbing season, you know, the contest for parking spaces down at the launch ramp is pretty hot and heavy. And I think we need to be able to, and I'll circulate some information about a sign-up sheet for members of this group to this committee, commission.
Commission.
Yeah, thank you. For the commission to sign up for public input at the council level during the public opinion period, where, you know, we can't sit around and wait for the process to work through and for the light bulbs to go on in every council person's head and so forth. I know we have a few of those light bulbs coming on. Some of them are dimmer than others, but no pun intended. But we just have to act, and it takes money to act. That doesn't seem to be a high level of consciousness in the part of the city, but I don't know. Brian, maybe you can address that.
Two things to keep in mind. One is that, a general obligation bond will require an election similar to, a port district election, right? So you're still looking at the timing of promoting and educating the public on that and getting that on the ballot. The other thing is, with a port district, depending on how you do it, whether it's the creation of a new port district or whether we expand an existing port district's boundaries, they'll be able to bond against that revenue pretty much immediately for a larger capital project thing. I think we do need to have some discussion and really look at the options of including some of these other projects in with maybe a modified dredging plan and get the biggest bang out of our buck for what we can bond for right now. At least to take care of some of those critical elements. Just replacing the through rods in the breakwater and getting some of the critical dredging areas done will, that'll buy us, 10, 15 years.
That's going down the very same road we went down 10 years ago.
Correct.
With the previous dredging project, and that's why we've got this problem now. We dredged half the marina. We made some piecemeal repairs to the breakwater, and we're talking about doing the same thing again. And I think it just does not pencil out, in my opinion.
Why did nothing happen between then and 6 months ago when we brought this up?
it goes back even further.
I think one of the challenges when you look at the last dredging effort compared to the next dredging effort, you might recall that that was a less than organized dredging effort. They spent at least 30, probably 45 days in front of the harbor master's office dredging around that little channel area. I believe that this next dredging effort will be one it's concentrated and focused, and this is what we're doing versus them just showing up with a barge with a regular old backhoe on the back of it. You know, one of the things that we're trying to get permitted, and I've seen a draft of the permit language, is suction dredging. So we would have that suction dredging, which is super fast and gets underneath things much better than we did last time. And then along with the typical clamshell dredging. So it would be a little different dredging effort. I won't be there, so I can't say that it will be better, but I'm pretty darn sure it was, because, you know, I'll be in communication with Brian, like, why are they sitting there so long? They should be moving. You know, once they get going, they don't sit still very long, they move. But they wasted so much time in that first dredge effort doing.
You know, Chris,
something.
I think Byron has really hit the nail on the head. I think we're at the point now where dredging alone is certainly not the answer to our situation right now. We have a marina that's falling apart in various places, and you know, the thought of throwing 11 to 14 million dollars at this and not addressing the other issues that present themselves is just a bad idea. You know, we need to. It's big. It's a bigger project than just dredging, as you well know, and I think Brian knows, and everybody up here knows. So we have to be prepared for that. You know, how are we going to do that? How are we going to, come up with the 75 million for the whole thing, or whatever it turns out to be. But it's really hard to think about it. It really is.
It's a lot of money.
And the thing that we need to impress upon the city council is the reason that the marina is in such bad shape now is that for 50 years, there's been zero capital expenditure and capital infusion into the marina. That's why it's falling apart. And if they don't understand that, then we're absolutely dead.
I think these are the type of comments that you need to make to the council as you go to each and every meeting and get your 3 minutes or.
And I think it was very clear to every member of the city council that the three of us, we sat through 4 hours of that meeting talking about mowing the grass, when the biggest issue, the alligator closest to the boat, sits right out there. And they were very keenly aware that the three of us were there. And I think maybe we just have to make our voices
The
heard
thing
every
is,
time.
it takes more than just a couple of us. And I know Rick Larson has put it on the docket to look at the breakwater. He has a new liaison in his office. I haven't contacted him yet. I will see what's going on there. I talked to Brian about having a meeting. We're going to talk some more. I have been crying. I've been saying, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do it? When are we going to put it? And it's just, it has to come from other people besides me.
Mm-hmm.
It has to come from the boating community. You all get together, you all stand there and say, hello, there's nothing we can do. Because it does, I'm not the boater, I'm the council person, but, I think it's more important that you guys come. And you guys need to rally up the troops and say, hey, you have a room full of voters, so all of a sudden you're getting some action. That's how some of these people work. I mean, we've had the room full with other things. So if you get a room full of people, then maybe we'll go somewhere.
I agree. So I will be sending around a sign-up sheet, but in the interim, please be, everybody on this dais can be thinking about the topics that they'd like to see covered. And in order to, I think, challenge the city council to do something, we need to stop talking about all this stuff and start doing something. And like I said, many times, takes money to do that. And we know that waiting just means it's going to cost more money. It is much easier to maintain a facility than it is to start over again. And that's kind of what ultimately we could be looking at, is starting over with a blank slate. Well, yeah, I don't even want to think about that, because that would be a horrendously expensive process, and it would take years to get the appropriate permits from, because everybody has their oar in the water, everybody in Olympia, in terms of approvals and so forth. And when I was on the peer committee, there were entities in Olympia that said they wouldn't pass approval or disapproval on a topic without other committees acting first. And when we would go and talk to them, they said, oh no, they have to make the decision first. And, it was like at the state level at that time, it was a lot of years ago, but there was an awful lot of finger pointing and no action. So, yeah, it's incumbent upon all of us to focus our efforts at the local level, I think, and see what we can do for ourselves. And maybe it's not the long-term solution. That still is out there, but we don't have a long-term, I think.
You mentioned the Navy and how they don't pay taxes on a lot of the land, and they just contributed a lot to the schools. This isn't the same as a school, but is there any path down that direction, that this is part of your morale and welfare and
Yes.
yeah.
I'll just say that the Navy did reach out of their own accord to meet with us to talk about the marina, and they have been watching what's been going on and want to take an active role in it. So we will be scheduling that meeting. And,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll all cheer for the Navy in the Navy Air Force game if that helps, like whatever we need to do, so. Okay, awesome.
Can I clarify one thing real quick? Going back to the hydroplanes real quick, it was stated that we were out there setting up the race buoys and stuff like that. What you actually saw us doing, and I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, what you actually saw us doing was shuttling stuff back and forth to FDOC, but also going out and patrolling the channel and keeping the boats away. The hydro people set up, they would not let us set up their buoys. They set that up, that's all GPS, it's the same every year. So just to clarify that, to make sure that you know that we're not actually setting up. Of course, we are shuttling stuff back and forth, the timer, the tables, the booth, all of that stuff to FDOT. But as far as the course goes, the hydro. It's hard work. It's hard work. But I just want to let you know that clarification. We'll certainly try to get Mr. McKenzie and Mr. Wisner here for the next meeting.
Speaking of projects, the fish pens are in place, and they have been stocked with fingerling trout. I don't know, some bright person needs to figure out how to feed orcas, because this system isn't working. Raise a few salmon, the ones that survive get past the seals and everything else, may end up in the belly of an orca. Maybe not, probably not, statistically, probably not. Set up some feeding stations. Feed them salmon that you bought at the Pike Place Market or something. I don't know what the solution to that is, but it's just, it's madness to say that, we're doing our part for, and we're doing our part to help populate the fishery resources. Okay, but it's pretty inefficient, frankly.
No, the real benefit of that program is that Governor Inslee's Orca Task Force direction. But the amount of kids that come down and see that program now
Oh, yeah.
and see them grow from, about 2 inches to 6 or 7 inches, maybe see the boats, get interested in boats too, is really neat. It's created an outdoor classroom in a sense. And then another aspect that I'd really love to see, and some of you guys that have been there a long time might remember all the fishing derbies we used to have. A lot of those fishing derbies were geared around those fish. And you might remember, because I remember when I first started working there, when those fishing derbies were on, we were scrambling to find space for all of those boats. So that's just another revenue generator for the marina. That, someday it'll happen, and we did see a pretty good return last fall. From up in the office, I could see the seals chasing them around, pinning them on the rocks, all that sort of thing, which tells me if there's that many in our little marina basin, there's a lot more out in the bay and in the deeper waters out there as well.
That reminds me, there's been some sort of state fisheries, game-type research vessel out in the far reaches of the channel. Did they ever report their findings to you?
So they're working on some Navy stuff. I can't really say what it is, but they're working on some Navy stuff. They are staying in the marina, or they were last week, and they purchased a ton of fuel from us and moorage and everything, so we welcomed them with open arms at this point.
There's no end to the good you can create with other people's money.
Yeah. Super nice people. They're actually the ones that did our initial survey.
Actually
for
stole that from Everett Dirksen, I think, or somebody.
I believe the name of that company was Gravity Marine, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
So, yeah.
But do they share any information with,
No.
catch
No.
information or anything? Because there have been crab surveys and so forth.
Yeah, these guys are
conducted.
out there, they're a private company doing certain things for the Navy. They're not doing
Yeah, I
fish and
know.
game
We're
stuff.
not probably gonna be privy to that information,
Right.
but I was just thinking that, yeah, we probably should ask at least and see
Yeah.
what they would share with us, at least anecdotally. If they're experiencing an increase or a decline in certain fish stocks or whatever, we should know that. I see it just based on where we live. I can see the smelt return, which has almost evaporated in the last few years, because they're a cyclical animal, a feeder fish that move around based on their own calendar and interpretations and so forth. But we still get, within the confines of the marina, we still get a fair number of anchovies and herring and some other feeder fish types of things. So, and the salmon smolt, once they're released, they're no longer smolt, I guess. They're, what's the term for them?
I don't know the exact term, Elise could probably tell
They're
you
bigger
that,
anyway
but
than the
They're
smolt.
6 or 7 inches big.
Yeah. And they're not ready to be harvested, but, this is step 2 or 3 of the process to get them to maturity and return. But anyway, I'm editorializing a little bit, but anything else from the commission? Chris, do you have anything else to contribute, or Brian?
Thank you guys for all your hard work over the years, and it's been a pleasure to work with you guys and this group and the many faces that have sat there. So I appreciate you, and you got a ton of work to do ahead of you.
Yes, we do. Okay. I'll call this meeting adjourned at 4:30, and thank you all for your